Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all super well and welcome back to episode 3 of my mental health journey. Before I start this video, I just want to say this is my own personal experience and my own personal mental health journey. What might work for me might not work for you, but I'm just here for support to make you feel like you're not alone and to just offer you comfort and a really safe space if anyone wants to share their own experience with me and kind of just have a little bit of a community and just really spread awareness of mental health because it's such an important topic to talk about. And I've received so many messages already from you guys and comments on my videos, and it shows that mental health is such an important topic to talk about because so many of us are experiencing mental health in so many different ways. If you are struggling and it is an emergency, then I have listed some hotline numbers below and some useful links for you to look into. So please talk to somebody if you're struggling and you need help. Please don't suffer in silence. So for episode 3, I'm going to be focusing on my childhood and how it's affected my adult life. So with my therapist over the last year and a half, she's kind of really opened my mind up and made links with current traits and triggers and how they've kind of come from my childhood. So it's super interesting. I've never ever really thought about my personality before. I've never thought about my traits and never thought about why I get different emotions and where they come from. But it's really opened me up to knowing that they come from my past experiences, different situations or trauma. And it's just such an interesting topic. And so I'm going to kind of pick out a few key points about myself, my traits or my triggers and my feelings, and just link it back and show you guys where it's come from. And in the hope that it kind of really makes you think about your feelings and emotions and your past. And you know what? It's weird, but it's kind of offered me a bit of comfort in knowing that it's just me. Like, this is me and it's absolutely fine. But like, I don't know, it just gives me a bit of clarity on why I am the way I am. Like, I feel like I understand myself more. It's a weird one. Like, You'd think that you would understand yourself, but honestly, making these links and really seeing kind of where my feelings and stuff come from has really made me understand myself more. And it's given me, because I've got more of an understanding about myself, it's really helped me understand my mum more, because I can break down my mum's past and her current traits and triggers, and I don't know, I feel like it's just let me in a bit more. And that's kind of one massive reason I'm able to have a relationship with her now, because I've got a more of an understanding about myself and I'm more content and happier in myself, that I can now understand her, because I've been able to kind of break it down and I'm more aware about my triggers and traits. I'm able to do it with her as well, and it's just really helped me build a relationship with my mum. So this is really important to me, this kind of journey that I've been on, these links that my counsellor has made with me. So I thought it was just a really important video to kind of focus on, and I'm just going to share with you guys, a couple of traits and triggers from my own experience and how it's moulded me into the person that I am today. So number 1 is I never ever feel good enough. Now, this is something that my mum has actually struggled with her whole entire life. She's never ever felt good enough. So I think because I've lived in a house where my mum has never ever felt good enough, and seeing her reactions to not feeling good enough and the things that she's said, I now don't feel good enough. Like, it's strange. It's a key feeling that comes up a lot. So if I'm in some of my therapy sessions, I'll bring it up a lot. My therapist will kind of break down like how I'm feeling, and I'll always say, I just didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel good enough. And it keeps coming up. And it's an interesting one. And I do think it does come from my mum not feeling good enough and being around her. But also, growing up, there was a lot of situations where there was a lot of lies in my house. So, for example, it sounds really silly, but like my mum would buy my sister something, but they'd lie to me about it. And and so I feel like over the years there's been little lies here and there about really silly things. But I think because I've had a lot of that through my childhood, I think to me, like, a lie, if someone's lying to you and isn't honest with you and telling you the truth, that to me, I feel like I'm not good enough to for someone to be honest with me. I feel like I'm not good enough to know the truth. That's kind of where it comes from. And I think when you have these repetitive feelings, it kind of just gets ingrained in you. And like, especially for me, it's really affected me growing up, because now I always take this feeling of never feeling good enough. Like I've taken that with me through into my adult life. Another thing as well where I think it comes from is my mum, like, she'd be like, oh, can you tidy your bedroom? So I'd tidy it. And then she'd come in and be all huffing and puffing and be like, oh, you've not done it my way. I'm going to have to do it now. And even that never made me feel good enough. Like, I would try my hardest to tidy my room and do it the way that she liked. But it was never good enough because she'd always moan about it and just redo it again her way. So I do think a lot of that over the years has made me feel, not good enough. I'll do something and I won't really feel good enough when I've done it. And I'm worried that someone's going to come and say, you didn't do that well. That's kind of like a little bit of a fear. Because I already have that feeling of not feeling good enough. It's like a fear of when you do something, you're just like, oh, I don't know how to be. Like, I really hope I do a good job at this. But you have that fear that someone's going to say, oh, that's not good enough. Because that's kind of what you've had all your life. So never feeling good enough is definitely a key feeling that comes up for me, and that has come from childhood and still affects me now. And I think a huge thing that I do now a lot of the time is I question situations. So like, I could be in any situation and I will really try and question it. Like, for example, if I take like friendships, sometimes I never feel good enough in a friendship group because I might have feelings of being left out, which I'm going to go on to in a minute, but I always never feel good enough. And then I sit and question why. And it's really kind of messed me up a bit in my own head, because I sit there and I overthink and I question things. And it's not a good mindset to be in when you do that. And I can never ever get myself out of those mindsets. So I just end up going into a bit of a hole where, I feel vulnerable and not good enough. I feel upset and anxious. And I don't know how to get myself out of that place. Very difficult. And I've had that a lot growing up. And this never feeling good enough kind of leads on to my next kind of key point, where I really struggle to feel proud of myself. I really struggle when people say to me, oh, you've done so well, Soph, or oh my God, that's amazing, you just hit 1 million followers on Instagram, that's so good, or look at that, that's amazing what you've done. I don't know, it could be you're on the windows in Primark in every store around the UK, that is amazing. I struggle so much saying thank you in those situations. I struggle so much acknowledging that someone is saying something so nice and like kind of trying to praise me. I struggle so much. I kind of go a bit in myself. I feel really awkward. I feel really anxious, and I just brush it off. If someone says something like that to me, I just go, yeah, and then I change the subject, because it's weird. I think the more I think about it, and I've been thinking about this a lot, why do I act like that? And I think it's because I've never really felt like growing up I've had those kinds of feelings from my mum. And because obviously my dad was never there at those points in my life, it was quite hard when your parents split up. Your mum, well, for me, my mum tended to be there for a lot of big things. My dad, he wasn't, and they never really got along, so they couldn't go together. So my mum tended to come to like gymnastics competitions or school things. So yeah, so so this is why it's hard, because all these feelings tend to fall on my mum. But yeah, I would always struggle, because I feel like growing up, I've never really had someone like hug me or say like, I'm so proud of you for doing this. This is amazing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've never really had that. My family's been more materialistic. So like we might celebrate with like a cake or a bunch of flowers and a card that literally just says well done, love, mum and your stepdad. Like it's more materialistic things, which is great, don't get me wrong. Like I'm so appreciative that, you know, they did celebrate things in my life, but it was always in a materialistic way rather than actually emotions and actually feeling that feeling from your parent. Like I never really felt like my mum was proud of me growing up because she never really said it to my face. It was more just like, oh, here's a bunch of flowers, like well done. But do you know what I mean? Like I said, there's a difference. There's a difference between the materialistic stuff and actually really feeling that. And I think because I've never really felt that, I don't actually know how to be. I don't know what to say, how to feel when someone says, oh my God, well done, like so proud of you. You should be so proud of you. This is I don't know how to be. I find it so awkward, honestly. And I think people think I'm rude. It's not being me. It's not me being rude at all. I just genuinely don't know how to be. And I bet some of my friends are watching this now being like, oh yeah, you do act weird or like brush it off when I've said like you should be really proud or well done. That's really weird. It's probably clicking now, but I genuinely find it so awkward if someone's like, well done, like you've done so well, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, let's just move on. Like, oh, I don't know how to be. And it's really, really difficult. And I think as well, because I've not had it and I feel like this and I feel awkward, I'm now trying to like, because I'm aware of it, I'm now trying to like retrain myself and trying to say like, acknowledge what people are saying to me and say like, thank you, or yeah, I don't know, I don't even know how to be, but I'm aware of it now and I'm really, really am going to try my hardest to accept the praise from people and the love from people, because I know I should, but I don't know, it's just an awkward thing for me, really, if I'm going to be honest with you. And I think what's put me off from even trying to kind of be grateful and thankful that people are saying these amazing things is that I don't know why, and I don't know where this comes from, because I spoke about this to my counsellor. I'm really worried that if I say thank you and acknowledge what people are saying, I'm worried it's going to come across that I'm boasting or bragging or being big-headed. And I don't know why and where that comes from for me. And it's something that I've always thought about and I need to figure out. But I really worry that people are going to think that I'm really big-headed if I say like, oh my God, yes, amazing, isn't it, that I hit 1 million? I don't know. I just find it's a fear of mine. It's a worry of mine, because I would never want anyone to think that, because I don't think that of myself. Genuinely, I don't. I'm not big-headed. I don't brag and I don't boast. And my friends will know that about me. I keep everything very much to my chest, and I don't really, I let it go over my shoulder. I just don't really acknowledge it. But it is a worry of mine that will it come across like that if I do say thank you? I don't know where it comes from. It's very odd, but that is my fear about acknowledging people praising me. So yeah, so it's something that I need to work on and I struggle with. But yeah, I actually read a really interesting quote on Instagram the other day, which I'm going to read out to you, which is in relation to this, just in case anyone else struggles with this similar feeling. So it was a quote that said, it's not bragging if it's based on facts. Basically, this Instagram account is from a girl that I knew from college, and she started a life coaching Instagram, and I think she does online therapy and stuff. And so I will pop a link below to her page, Lara Waycott. Really, really amazing quotes on there, and it really resonates with me, and I can relate to everything that she says. So I've started following the account. And she says, I work with a lot of my clients on self-esteem and confidence. And this is one of my favourite quotes to share. Growing up, being confident was something I was careful of. Never did I want to be seen as arrogant or cocky. Literally, that is how I feel. Good girls are polite, shy, and don't overstep the mark. Hearing this quote on a workshop several years ago changed things for me. Why would I not share my accomplishments when I have worked so hard to achieve them? It's still a daily lesson for me, but something I'm growing to be more comfortable with. Does this resonate with you? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So much. Like, that is me. I've always struggled with, being confident. And I don't want to come across as arrogant or cocky. I don't want to come across big-headed and like I'm boasting at all. I just struggle with, self-esteem and confidence in myself. But I have worked hard. That's what like when I read that, I was like, I have actually worked hard. Like, I worked my arse off. I've worked my arse off for years to be able to do what I do. So I should feel proud of myself for doing that. But yeah, I say it out loud, but I don't feel it inside. Anyway, let's move on from that because, yeah, it's just too awkward, really. Okay, let's move on to another feeling that I have honestly, this is probably one of my biggest feelings that comes up all the time. Let's move on to friendship groups and my feelings around friendship groups, because this is something that I've really, really struggled with. Now, one key feeling is feeling left out. I hate feeling left out. The way that it makes me feel, honestly, like, I probably could cry now even thinking about all my friendship groups and feeling left out, because it's such a strong feeling for me. It brings if I feel left out, it brings this wave, this huge ocean wave over me of anxiousness, upset, feeling like I've done something wrong, feeling like I'm not good enough. Like, this whole wave comes over me when I feel left out. And I'm not saying that any of my friends have purposefully done it at all. I'm not saying that at all. But it's just maybe the way that they've been or the way that they've acted. And it's the way that I've taken it because of my past experiences and my childhood and growing up. I've just taken it that I felt left out. And I've lost friends before because I felt left out over and over and over again. And if I voiced my feelings, and said to my friends, girls, I feel really upset, I feel a little bit left out, like, have I done something wrong? It's always met with, you're being silly, you've made these feelings up in your own head. It's like, you're stupid for feeling like this, we've done nothing to you, it's so unfair. I've now come to realise that's gaslighting. And yeah, it's really, really difficult learning that. Gaslighting isn't really something that I've kind of really looked at before. I've never really heard of the word until recently, not going to lie. I never really knew what it meant. However, my sister sent me this really interesting thing on Instagram the other day, which I'm going to put up on the screen because honestly, it really resonated with me. And oh my God, like, I went through every single one of these things and I was like, wow, this has happened to me so many times again with friendship groups. Wow. Like, and it kind of just made me feel like, yes, like, I knew I wasn't silly. I knew, like, these feelings came from somewhere. And I've never ever blamed my friends for anything. It was just that I'd voice my feelings and I just want to be comforted. And they just never would do it because they never felt like they were in the wrong. And I wasn't saying they were in the wrong at all. It's just the way that they've taken it. So that's clearly their own internal issues, maybe that they've dealt with in the past. But it's very difficult. And I think it's very difficult anyway to talk to girls. Girls, I think, we have a lot of issues of our own, and it does affect friendship groups. And girls are just hard to be friends with, guys. Honestly, it's a lot. So this Instagram account, I highly recommend following for your mental health. It's called I am EMPWR, I am in power. So gaslighting, how to recognise it and combat it. Gaslighting is a form of psychological and emotional abuse that involves manipulating another into doubting or disbelieving their experiences, feelings, perceptions of reality, or even their sanity. Literally, that has happened to me so many times with my friends. So, what are the signs? Compulsively worrying you are interpreting things wrong or being too sensitive, thinking everything is your fault, their words don't match their actions, finding it increasingly more difficult to make decisions, they shift the blame away from themselves and onto you, they put you down 1 minute and praise you the next, feeling confused or uncertain about your own memory. So that's something that I've definitely struggled with, picking out there. It's the shifting the blame from themselves onto you, and you feeling like you're being silly and you've made up your feelings and that you shouldn't have said anything and you regret saying anything in the first place. And I think that's so wrong. If you're feeling anxious and you're feeling upset, you should be able to approach your friend. That is a relationship. I've spoken to my therapist about this and she was like, so that's a normal relationship. That's what you do with your boyfriend, your partner, your girlfriend. That is what you do. You might argue about something 1 minute, you talk about your feelings, the other one's upset you, you talk about it, you iron it over, and you move on. That is a relationship, and that is how your friendships should be. You should be able to be friends with somebody, and if they upset you, you should be able to say, look, you upset me by saying that. Could you explain why? Maybe you've misinterpreted it. Maybe it was a miscommunication. There's always a reason. You know, you can iron it out and move on. And I'm so appreciative of my friends that I have now that can do that for me, because that's something that I personally need in a friendship. I need to be able to trust in my friends that I can talk to them when I'm upset. I'm not blaming them at all. It probably is 100% a miscommunication, or, you know, someone's written something in the group chat and it's come across a little bit blunt because it's a DM. It's not, you know, you can't hear somebody's voice or emotion behind a message sometimes. It's very difficult to read people through WhatsApp. So yeah, most of the time it's just a miscommunication, misunderstanding, and we iron it over and we move on. And I just really appreciate that people can do that for me. What can it sound like? You're crazy. You're being too sensitive or dramatic. I was just joking. Learn to take a joke. I would never do that to you. Do you really think that little of me? These are things that my friends have said to me in the past when I've brought them up on the fact that I'm upset because of something. Maybe I'm feeling left out or something. And yeah, these are common things. I didn't say that. You heard me wrong. Why can't you just let that go? What's the impact? Lack of self-trust and intuition. Constant apologising and people-pleasing. Difficulty making and sticking to decisions, second guessing your reality or experiences, decreased confidence and increased self-doubt, questioning yourself. This is me. This is me. I really related to this. What can you do? You can say, like, I remember that differently. My feelings and perception of what happened are valid, even if you don't understand or disagree. I hear you, but that isn't how I experienced that. If you continue invalidating me, I will not continue this conversation. You are not crazy and you deserve to trust your sense of reality. That, honestly, like, it just resonates with me. And I always refer back to that because I know I'm not crazy. And through therapy, I've really, really been learning to trust my feelings more and know that they are valid. They come from somewhere because I can understand myself more now. So I know that they come from somewhere and I know where they come from. So I know that they're valid. And everyone's feelings are valid. And if someone tells you otherwise, then they're not your friend. And it is hard learning that some people just can't be there for you in the way that you need them. It's very difficult. But sometimes in life you have to be selfish and you need to look after your own mental health and yourself. And my counsellor always says this, it's what you need from a relationship. And if someone's not giving you what you need, then it's just not working for you, you know? So yeah, so feeling left out is definitely something that I have struggled with a lot. And linking that to childhood is middle child syndrome, guys. It's a thing. I always felt left out being the middle child. My mum told me a story once and she said, I went out with my dad, just me. So this is when my parents were divorced, but I went out with my dad, just me. We had a little day out together. And apparently the whole time I was like, what's Katie and Liam doing at home? What are they doing at home? What do you think they're doing with mum? And when my dad got home, my mum was like, oh, did Sophie have a nice time? And he was like, I think she did. But she was constantly asking what the others were doing at home with you. So even then I can see like, wow, I felt left out from such a young age. So weird, like even knowing that. I never even knew that story. My mum told me that story recently actually, but it just all makes sense now. And it's something that I've, honestly struggled with. And I think the years and years of having friendship groups where I have voiced a feeling and they've gaslighted me has made me lack trust in friends, has made me doubt myself, has given me lack of confidence, a lack of self-esteem. Honestly, decision making, oh my God, like I struggle with decision making because I don't want to upset anybody. And it's weird, like I never ever realised that my friends were gaslighting me over the years. And it upsets me that I let that happen. Like I let people treat me like that. But now I feel like I'm strong enough in myself that, and I know the situation, I understand myself more now that I'm not going to let someone do that to me again because I don't deserve it. Like I know my feelings are valid. So I really hope talking about this and talking about friendship groups offers a little bit of comfort to you guys if any of you are experiencing gaslighting with any of your friends, because trust me, your feelings are valid and you are not crazy. So moving on from that, something that kind of links on is I always feel like people are out to get me. And that's kind of another thing that my mum struggled with a lot when, I was younger. She always felt like everyone was out to get her. And I think that comes from, being with my stepdad, and he has had previous children with other women. And my mum struggling with relationships with those children and obviously relationships with those women. And my mum's never really had a nice supportive group of friends around her. She's struggled with making friends. And also she had a bad relationship with her parents. She couldn't really rely on them and talk to them. She never really had anybody to turn to. She's had difficulties with my stepdad. So I just feel like she's been kind of on her own. And I think because she's so on her own and in her own mind, she's just had this perception that everyone is out to get her all of the time. Because of this lack of trust, this lack of self-confidence, self-esteem, she can't trust anybody. And I do feel like I've kind of had a bit of that. I've been able to make friends, but I've always felt like they're out to get me. And I hate feeling like that. And, it does upset my friends sometimes when I say things to them and they get very hurt. They're like, but I would never do that. And I do feel awful sometimes thinking these things, but I cannot help it. It's from a young age, I've grown up with my mum always feeling like people are out to get her. And watching my mum and how she has handled situations and her feelings and stuff is exactly how I am. I handle situations exactly like her. Not the best, really, but that's where I feel like these feelings of people are out to get me comes from. Because, my mum has had these experiences growing up, and it's what I've learned. I've learned to always feel like that with my friends. So it's very, very difficult with friendship groups to not go to those places, and I feel awful, but it's just in me, like it's who I am. And I am really starting to stop now and think, if I have felt left out with a friendship group, if someone said something, I stop and think, hang on a minute, this might actually just be themselves. Maybe they're having a bad day, maybe they're dealing with something, or hang on a minute, maybe they just assumed that I'm busy that day and that's why they've not asked me to meet up with them. Rather than going to this place of feeling left out, I really am trying to not think these things of my friends, because I don't want to offend anybody, but it is hard when that is the kind of place that I go to, because that's the place I'm used to going to, and that's the way that my mind works, is to blame myself and think it's me, I've done something wrong, I'm not good enough, why are they leaving me out, I've done something to them. Sugar, oh my God, what do I do? Like, have I upset you? Have I upset them? And that's when I go in myself and take myself away, and I might close off from my friends, and then they feel upset because they feel like they've done something wrong. And it is, the dynamics of a relationship are just super, super hard, like, especially with girls, and there's lots of emotions involved. So that's definitely something that has really, really affected me. Always feeling like people are out to get me, because it's in my own head and I know that, but it's hard to get it out of your own head and think differently when you do lack confidence and self-esteem, and you don't feel good enough. How are you meant to think, okay, it's not me, I've not done anything wrong? Like, it's so difficult, but it is something I'm aware of and I'm learning to combat. So another huge thing that has affected me in the workplace, actually, in my adult life, is I've had such difficulty with women in authority, kind of dominant figures. So growing up, obviously, I've worked in fashion. Fashion's been my thing. And it's been very, very difficult dealing with female bosses and female managers. I had one manager who I'm literally still friends with now. She's amazing. And I feel like the only difference with her was that she felt very much like free-spirited. She didn't feel like she was above me. She never spoke down to me. It was very mutual. It was collaborative. And I just worked really, really well with her and her personality and how she was. But everybody else has just reminded me of my mum. It's, I think because I've grown up with my mum being very dominant, she's always in the right. I've always been frightened of her. I've always been so scared about talking about my feelings. She's never been approachable. She's never listened to me, because I've had years and years and years of growing up with a female figure like that, who's very dominant and, you know, really makes you feel small and vulnerable. When I've gone into the workplace with a female boss, where you naturally feel a bit of tension between anyway, because, you know, bosses are scary anyway, like, regardless. You don't want to upset your boss. But because they've been female figures, it's made me have the same feelings that I've had with my mum growing up. So I go in this place where I feel like I'm scared, I'm nervous, I'm anxious, I'm awkward around them. I feel like I can't be myself. I feel like I can't approach them. I feel like I can't talk to them, because I think in my head, they're going to come back at me, tell me I'm not good enough, tell me I can't do my job, tell me off, and act like my mum. Feel like they're going to act like my mum to me. And that's been so hard, because it's affected a lot of my jobs and the way that I am in a lot of my jobs. I just never really felt like I could be myself, and I've always felt anxious. And it's weird. At the time, I never really noticed it until having therapy and really breaking down situations and looking at things differently and understanding myself now, and knowing that I have these traits and triggers, and then thinking back to, oh, that's definitely how I felt in the workplace. Because obviously when you have therapy, you talk about different experiences and past situations, and then my therapist is able to link things and kind of say, well, hang on a minute, have you ever thought about the reason that you found it very difficult, you know, handing in your notice at work, for example, and the feelings that come around it and come with it is because of your mum and how she's been with you growing up, and la 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 la. And I'm like, oh my God, what? It's so clear now. Like, I would literally be near enough in tears handing in my notice, because I was petrified that I was going to be met with an attack on me, someone attacking me, getting angry at me, and I can't handle those situations, because then I need to go in myself and run off to my room, but there's nowhere to run at work. So that's kind of the dynamic that I've really, really struggled with. I'm much better with men, I have to say, much better with men, because with men, there's no emotions and there's no feelings. It's quite logical with men. I feel like men are like, just want to get the job done. That's me, babes. I just want to get the job done. I don't want any feelings or emotions. I just want to get the job done. Boom. Yeah, I don't want to be having feelings and stuff. But it's something that I'm more aware of, and I am trying to combat it, because I think I've got more of an understanding about myself and where my feelings come from. It is very slowly giving me a little bit of a confidence boost here and there, and a bit more belief in myself, believing that my feelings are valid, understanding myself. And it is, I am learning. And, you know, I even had it the other day where I was able to be a little bit confrontational, and I was like, hang on a minute, this is not Sophie Hannah. She is not confrontational. But I feel like the more and more I'm having therapy and learning about myself, and, you know, and I am standing up for myself a bit more, which I think is a positive thing, when I've never ever done that in the past, because I've never felt good enough and never felt valid. And yeah, I'm having a bit more trust and belief in myself, and yeah, I feel like I am getting a little bit of confidence, which is an amazing thing, because don't want to get emotional, but it's something that I've really, really lacked for years and years and years, through different situations. You know, friends gaslighting me and not making me feel good enough. My mum, like, yeah, years and years and years of that. It's nice that I am putting myself first now, and I am like growing. I'm growing now, and I am on this amazing new journey, like, to discover myself. Okay, so lastly, let's talk about anger, because that's something that I really, really do struggle with. Anger, well, emotions growing up, you learn them. You learn them from being around your family, friends. You learn these emotions. And anger is a really strong emotion that I've learned, because my mum was very angry a lot of the time growing up. She had a lot of stuff she's dealing with. I see that now, and I can see why she was angry, because she didn't really have anywhere to vent. She didn't have support. She didn't have a support network to vent. It was all just locked up and boiling up inside of her. And that's why she reached breaking point time and time and time again so easily. But anger for my mum is going 0 to 100 without even blinking. And that is me. If I get angry, I go from 0 to 100 so fast. I don't have time to stop and think and break down a situation and help myself get out of being angry. I just go dum dum, and then it's like, oh my God, like I'm so overwhelmed, I'm angry and I can't stop, and oh my God, like it just boils and boils, and you just shout and you scream and you just can't stop. It's difficult. But it's something I'm aware of and that I'm working on, and and also it's not even just for myself, it's for the people around me. Like sometimes I feel really sorry for Robin because something might happen with the dogs. Like, I don't know, there's been times where Luna's ripped a parcel open and has basically ruined my new floor in the hallway, and I've got really angry, and I feel bad for him because I'm horrible to him, and he doesn't deserve it because he's not done anything wrong, and I'm just horrible to him, and I'll like shout, and I'll just be like, go away, leave me alone, like I just want to do this by myself, I want to clean it by myself, and actually he's just being nice and like, Sophie, I'll help you, I'll do this, I'll do that, but I just I turn into my mum a bit, and I'm just, I go on a bit of a rampage, like cleaning and like, because I just get angry and I just can't stop myself, and it's difficult, and I never really knew I was like that until recently. I never realised I had my mum's anger, but obviously it's natural and normal that I would, because that's where I've learnt it from growing up. As I said before, childhood experiences and different situations and what you've learned from a parent, it moulds you into the person that you are. So yeah, anger is definitely something that I struggle with, but I'm trying to like let people in, let people help me, offload that anger. Like, this is something that I am working on. And also other things that help me as well is just to, instead of getting angry and then just continuing the anger, just walk away from the situation. Take 5 minutes out, breathe, listen to a bit of music or something like that, and then we go back to the situation and we look at it at a different angle and look at it differently. Sometimes, because I go from 0 to 100, it's really difficult for me to stop and give myself that time, but I am learning, and I'm really, really trying to work on it. And because obviously it's not fair for people around me to be affected by my anger, for me to take it out on people. If someone upsets me and I'm angry over WhatsApp, I need to turn my phone off, put it on airplane mode, walk away from the situation, and then come back, rather than go full pelt. But sometimes it's difficult to do that, but I am learning, and it's definitely something that, I feel like it's embarrassing talking about that I get angry, but actually it's a very normal thing, and a lot of people do struggle with it, and that it is because of how they've grown up and what household they've been in, or the different circumstances that they've been in, the people that they've been around. If you've been around a lot of anger, then you're gonna be an angry person and struggle with anger yourself, and that is absolutely fine. It's not a bad thing at all, but I think being aware of it and trying to help yourself and the other people around you is a great thing. So I really, I'm glad that I know this and I can work on it now, because who wants to be going through life being angry, being upset, feeling anxious, feeling overwhelmed, feeling all these negative things? Life is too short. We take it day by day, and I am really, even with lockdown, have realised I just want to concentrate on making this one day, like today, a really great day for myself. I don't want to be stressed. I want to be happy. I don't want to be angry. I want to be positive emotions, not negative emotions. And I try and do that for myself every day. And I feel like lockdown and coronavirus life has really kind of made me think like that and look at life day by day, and and it's making me appreciate just being alive day by day, and being able to do everything, So I think that's like quite a positive thing to end on. So I really hope you found this video really insightful. I guess I'm really kind of teaching you guys about me. The bad. Why am I focusing on the bad? No, it's all these kind of negative, like difficult feelings and emotions and experiences that kind of really mold my mental health journey into one, and what I'm dealing with and going through. But I really hope you found this video insightful, and it's helped some of you, especially if you guys are dealing with friendship or relationships, situations and experiences of like gaslighting, or maybe you guys have had similar feelings to me of feeling left out, never feeling good enough. You might be feeling very similar things. So I just want you to know you're not alone in these feelings. A lot of us will go through these different feelings, and your feelings are valid. Your feelings are valid. That's something that I'm really learning and building my confidence in, is my feelings are valid. And I am so glad that the therapy is really, really teaching me about myself. I'm learning to understand myself. I'm learning to be confident in my feelings, know that they're valid, know where they come from, so I know that they're valid. You know, it's me as a person, and yeah, and to know that I'm not being selfish. I am, you know, it's my own experiences and feelings, and that is okay. That's okay to voice your feelings. You shouldn't not be able to talk to somebody about your feelings, smooth it over, and move on. That is a relationship. You should be able to do that with people, and I think it's an amazing thing if you have got friends and family around you that let you do that. Because, you know, for myself, that's something that I need in a relationship, and I'm super grateful for that I have a, you know, a group of people around me that let me do that, and do listen to me and listen to my feelings and take it on board. And the great thing is, the more I do this and the more I talk to them, they're actually understanding me more, which is in turn making my relationships stronger and better with my friends and stuff and my family. So yeah, therapy honestly is an amazing thing. It's an amazing journey. It's a tough journey. It's a hard one, really learning all these things about yourself, but it's really honestly helping me, and I'm so grateful that I am on this journey. And yeah, it is slowly turning into a big positive journey for me. So yeah, I'm going to love you and leave you guys. Remember, there are hotline numbers below and links below for anyone who is suffering. Please don't suffer in silence. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave any comments below. I will do my best at getting back to you, or if you feel more comfortable DMing me, DM me. That's absolutely fine on Instagram. And also, next video, episode 4, will be in 2 weeks' time, and I think I'm going to do a Q&A. So let's do a therapy Q&A. If you've got any questions, pop them below, ask me anything, and I will pick the most relevant ones out that I can share, you know, my experience with. Or if there's any kind of, I know I had a lot of questions before, people asking me how to find a therapist, what it's actually like, obviously pre-coronavirus, sitting down with a therapist. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna pop some questions in like that and answer them and do my best at answering them. But yeah, if there's anything you want to know, please comment below. Please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in another video very soon. Peace out. Take care, guys, and please stay safe.